Hey, hello. I'm here. I have my face on. Why? Because I was half asleep all day, and if I didn't look like I was worth $1 million, at least 4 minutes of worth of $1 million, I don't even know what might have happened. You gotta put on your game face, right? All right, this is where I share the link a bajillion times. Hang in there with me, please. Love you guys. Patience is a virtue. And if you want to know what the weird buzzing sound in the background is, my husband's working to become a formal drone pilot. What? And don't worry, it's not any weird crazy. I've gotten like 4 hours of sleep, by the way. I'm not sure how. I will be highly entertaining today. I'm not sure how linear I'm going to be. Anyway. No, my beloved is becoming a drone pilot. Slowly but surely, and he's learning how, and he's going into the photography end of things, and I'm personally pretty excited about that. Yeah, if you're eavesdropping at all, they're learning how to control a drone by gestures. It's so neat. Share to eclectics. This is always the most fun part of the video. I'm not sure what I did, but you're welcome. I gave you a shout out on my video. I can include your name if you're willing, but I don't do that unless people say go ahead. Awesome. Yeah, Mikey. I don't know. I don't know. No, nothing. No problem. We pass each other in the halls way more than I would normally expect. We overlap in all of the different things that we do without actually spending time in the same room. It's kind of funny. We put on an organized event together and did a handful of really neat things without actually interacting. I have at least 2 more I have to share. And then I'm going to be more linear, I swear. I'm just really bad at multitasking on the best of days, and I got 4 hours of sleep. So I am dumb. And of course, when I laid down to try and actually sleep, my brain said, no, it's going to be all white noise without any, what's the word I want? Linear concentration. That's a good word. It's a good word for it. Okay. Am I missing anything? I'm missing something. Yes, I am missing something, but it's on purpose. I do not post these to Gypsy Witch Tribe because there is a delay, and I do not post these to the Cauldron, even though it's a big group, because they don't allow live streaming. That's actually cool. I don't mind following rules. Although following rules because they go on different side pages, I find that confusing. Oh, Jennifer, you're the best. I still look beautiful, she says. So I want to talk to you guys about a series of stuff. Last time we had a really intense session. And then right after, what was it? How many have we had? I'm referring to these as number 3. And I feel like that's wrong somehow. Live study session. Oh, I can look at videos, can't I? I bet I can. So all the videos, second broadcast. So this really is the 3rd. It was June 18th. And then I went to Wisteria. And, oh, that was the 3rd right after Wisteria. So today is number 4, and everything is improperly labeled. I fail at life. I am going to see if I can edit this. Ooh, I can. I thought there might have been 4. Isn't that exciting? Oh, look, I got a shirt. I'm sorry, I cannot not show off new clothes. I love them, even if they are Goodwill purchases. Always, because, like, hello, we've met. It's a requirement. No, it is 4. It is 4. The first one was, oh my gosh, I've got to stop bumping this table. The first one was my introductory. My second one was right before Wisteria. Then I had one off because my voice died a horrible death. And then I had one after Wisteria that talked to you guys about the trips, I think. I am peeking at it on my videos page. That was on July 2nd. Oh, yes, right before the holiday. So how was everybody's July 4th? And hi, Leah. And actually, how do you guys like my fairy tales I've been sharing? I'm finally sharing fairy tales in my study sessions. You guys like them? Oh, Leah. I'm really glad I get to talk to you for a minute. I like talking to you. Part of me wishes that I could set this up so we could all talk together and like see each other, because I like seeing you guys too. But I don't know how. If anybody does, by all means, message me right here, as in right here. And Leah, you'll be pleased to know, she and I were chatting earlier, and my brain was not. It was really, I had the best typos ever. I no longer have my brain glitching quite so much. I sat down and watched Steven Universe for a while. It makes everything better. If you guys haven't watched Steven Universe, you must. You must. So hi, Katie. I don't know you, but I am happy to maybe meet you. Cam, hello. So let's see, what all do we want to talk about today? I want to talk to you guys about fairy tales, because I want to talk to you guys about fairy tales, obviously. Awesome. Hi, Katie. It's lovely to see you. So I want to talk to you guys about fairy tales and the state of mythology in education. Aww. Love you. Hi, Kim. But I also I want to keep talking a little bit about the overarching storyline of the study sessions that I kind of got sidetracked on because of important things. And then the more I get on Facebook and the less I see humans. Yes, Leah, it's true. Me too. Oh, hooray! Yes, please bring Katie next time. The guild needs lots of fun people to come and play. But yeah, it turns out that over the summer, there's been a lot of us who are doing 5,000 things at once. Hello, Misty! Mwah! And so I'm really glad to a certain extent that I got off topic by getting on a topic that was linear. It's really fun too, because I keep noticing on some of my pages that I post to my new study sessions, the search for the shape-shifting warrior keeps being right at the top. Not actually Kaleidoscope, because oh my gosh, the content we've got on Kaleidoscope, and we just expanded. Can I congratulate Jennifer on being one of our latest authors for Kaleidoscope? Very excited about that. She's going to share her journey that she's going through magically, and also in her transition. I'm so grateful to you, Jennifer, for being willing to share that with us. But yeah, over the summer, it seems like none of us really have any ability to. We don't have any attention to give, so it's not like we can't pay attention. It's that we don't have any. So I have been giving you guys stories, because stories tell the real truth. It's kind of funny. As we go through every day of our day-to-day lives, there's a lot of times when we as humans, not we as sweet, wonderful pagans who are trying to change the world and make everything beautiful, woo, because we are. And this is not me being woo-woo. This is me being like, yes, rock. As we're trying to change the world and be positive and everything else, a lot of times we forget that we need to talk around what we want to actually get across. We need to explain in a subtle, manipulative way. We need to be willing to manipulate each other in a positive sense. Now, please don't misunderstand. I'm not trying to say, be an evil, wicked person. No. I'm saying that if you really want to have an impact on people, don't walk in and say, I disagree with you, and that's because you're wrong and you should agree with me. Never, like, ever has that worked. Maybe twice, and both times involved a weapon. The rest of the time, we have to change the subject. We need to talk about Moana and how brave she was and her ability to traverse the ocean and break boundaries in order to conquer the fear that was embodied by something that had been wounded and restore its heart and provide the beneficial power that women truly have in being able to have insight and heartfelt honesty. Then we need to take that a step further and say, I can be a badass like her. We just accidentally conveyed the fact that women can be badasses without saying it. When it comes to trying to explain to people how magic works, I can tell you all day long the mechanics of it and possibly even put you to sleep. Yes, magic can be a boring subject too. Physics, incredibly fascinating, can put you to sleep. Magic is the same. So I could give you all of these very carefully studied mechanics that I've looked into. And I might later on, because I was actually just discussing that with someone the other day. But it'll be a lot better for me to just take you on a journey and play. Because who doesn't like to play? Teach me the rules of the game. Come on, I'm going to go. That's when we really pay attention. That's when we really learn. And then when we go to implement it and we find out, oh crap, I don't know how to do something. All of a sudden we know it. We not only know it, we know it in this muscle memory and our intelligence, and on a deep level, we get it. It's so cool. So I like to play with you guys instead of trying to teach you, especially since most of you guys already know this. I'm just reminding you, or maybe giving you a slightly different perspective on something you're already doing. Bye, Mikey, I like you. He's leaving. I didn't say goodbye when he was looking, and now he's not looking when I'm saying goodbye. My bad. So as I am talking through the search for the shape-shifting warrior, if you guys are looking, look out, I'm going to get behind the curtain for a minute and talk about the boring stuff hidden in there. I explained that just because a lot of pagans are drawn to wolves does not mean that wolves are well-behaved creatures. All the dirty jokes, man. All of them. I'm in. I really hope I don't have gross teeth today. I seriously have been a useless puddle all day. It's been awesome. Working. No attention span. So when we look at, okay, deer, that's what I was talking about. No, wolves. When we were looking at the wolves in the story, one of the things I included was some actual, we have a place right outside of Lafayette that you guys might not know about. In a place called Battleground, Indiana, there's this really cool park called Wolf Park. And what they did was they managed to take a herd of wild buffalo and a pack of wolves and put them on a lot of acres of land and study them and learn from them and share them with the public. And people can come out and see the wolves. They have howl nights on Saturday nights. They have a really cool gift shop. My ankles itch terribly. I'm sorry. I'm going to wiggle and knock the table and stuff. My bad. Sorry. And so, yeah, there's this really unique ability, if you live here in Lafayette, to just go and learn a whole lot about wolves, including the fact that they absolutely will attack anything that's bleeding, anything that shows weakness. I tried to make very clear in the story that I was telling that wolves are not tame, because they are not. Don't get near their babies. Don't bleed near them and expect to walk away. The fact that that one guy, that, you know, my main character, that one guy, Sean, silliest day of study sessions you're going to get for a little while, just telling you. So Sean is out and about walking around doing his thing and ends up in a scrape and ends up, hello Melissa, ends up scraped up all over his body and ends up bleeding all over. Melissa, that's a really weird part in my sentence to walk in. I hope you're back a few seconds so that makes any sense. And the wolves saved this bleeding, pitiful man and helped him get home. This is a myth. This would not happen in real life. It might happen if someone was basically raised as part of the pack and was treated very, very well loved, let's say. Now, I did write that in. He is very well loved. He's taken very good care of them. He has constantly been a provider, a protector, a guardian, a guide. I will. And being a guardian, a protector, a guide has gotten him a lot of leniency with the wolves. You get sick around a wolf, you're on your period around a wolf. You get a paper cut and go into an enclosure with wolves that have been raised around humans, you end up getting attacked. It's not their fault. It's got nothing to do with you. It's got nothing to do with them. They smell blood, they get hungry. Jennifer pointed out I need to sleep more. I know. My sleep was broken today. It got all screwed up. My foster kid was over. Her fiance was over. We were watching TV until late. I got sucked into Spider Solitaire. I had a whole bunch of work to do. And then when I tried to go to sleep at like 5 so I could get a nap, it didn't work. On topic though. So when I talked about the wolves going hunting, I did have them hunt one of their favorite forms of prey, something that humans generally don't speak about because humans go, bleh. Pregnant deer are unwieldy and extra meat with less labor. That's why they typically hide and stay hidden as much as possible for their pregnancy. In this case, the wolves got lucky, but I personally loved the end of that segment where the human who was picking up on this finally clued into the fact that he has a human brain and went, oh, and threw up, because most of us would, obviously. The idea of eating anything that is full of baby, although there is apparently a delicacy in Japan. Of course there is, right? And no, China, sorry. Pregnant rat gives birth, and I don't even want to finish that. Like, really, do we need to? So there's this concept that we have as humans, as pagans, as magic users, as professionals, as humans in general, that there are certain universal truths, universal rights, universal concepts that will apply to everything. And there is good and there is bad. Good for whom? Bad for whom? If a wolf needs to feed his family before winter, then the scenario that I mentioned in my story is actually pretty well spot on, especially with a sick mom. You got to take care of her. If you end up with your mom getting terribly sick right before winter, she's not going to live. So you take care of your mama. And as a wolf, you don't make her chicken noodle soup. There's a lot of points like that I've been including in my stories. The concepts that I've been discussing, again, focus more on conveying messages, but they're subtle. The shape-shifting that I'm discussing, I'm really not sure how far I want to go with the shape-shifting. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of this that I do get as far as where I'm going with the story, but you would be surprised how much I just kind of let it roll. Yeah, Leah, I know. I know. She said, oh my, no, yuck. Yeah, right. So when we are talking about where we're going from here, I do want to try and focus on the concepts. You can look it up if you ever want to hear the rest, but there's like videos. When we talk through where I'm going with this, I'm not sure how much I want to focus on shape-shifting. I'm not sure how much I want to have the human actually break out of his skin, but let's be honest, for those of us who've managed to cross the line of full sentient awareness of something outside of our body, does it matter if our actual form remains intact the whole time? The perceptions shift, if that makes sense. I don't like ever clarifying whether or not magic is real, actually. You guys will enjoy this, I think. I have had a really unorthodox introduction to magic from day one. Like, I mean, real whacked out. I know some people with some really crazy stories, and I can actually keep up with most of them. And I'm really excited at some point in the relatively near future, especially when my Patreon, because I've got a Patreon now, when my Patreon hopefully takes off, when some of my other endeavors start to take off, and I've got regular income, I hope to start telling the fiction-ish story of my life. Going through and discussing a lot of the things I've been confronted with. And one of the things I am looking forward to in that is not telling you guys for sure what proof there is or is not, but talking through the perception of it. And considering some of the stuff, like, okay, for instance, at an everyday party, really cool party for my friend who just turned 40. Oh, Erin, I love you. I'm not going to use your full name because you haven't given me permission. Mwah. But Erin was turning 40 and I went to her party, and there was a lovely lady there who had been having an issue. And when I say she was having an issue, I mean very specifically, she was having an issue with a non-physical being, probably, she thought. She wasn't sure. What she did know was every 3 a.m., or almost every 3 a.m., when her boyfriend, was not present, and her boyfriend is very solid in his understanding of how the world works, and the world lives up to that. We all probably know someone like that. When he was home, she would have no issues, but anytime she had to be home by herself, she would find herself feeling drained, tired, miserable, just empty, hollow. I looked at her when I met her, when this came up at all, because luckily my friend Erin recognized the fact that I have this background and I can help. So this lovely lady, I got to meet her. She was amazing. Really excited to have met her. And when I was talking to her, she just felt, you know, the middle of a donut, how you can see the cake and you know that there's a gap in the middle, but it's a little more than that. You can always kind of tell that there's this area in the middle that was not baked. It is not there. It is an existential definition of a donut. It goes above and beyond. Oh yeah, there's a hole here. Anyway, she had that same kind of innate lack in the middle, except I could see her body. It was like solid. It's just empty. Here's the thing. I described her symptoms. I not only described her symptoms, I described her general sensations and what I was feeling, and put it in the context of like what she was probably going through, and was able to tell her about when it had started, because I got called into the problem. I just couldn't go to every door-to-door area and say, hey, are you having any leftover issues from this problem? Some jackasses at the local campus tried to do a large spell. This is why you leave it to the witches to do spells. When other people do spells, they're nasty and manipulative. And because the kids involved don't really believe in them, they have horrendous side effects. And nobody, takes it seriously, so who cares? People were seeing black things crawling out of their mirror at 3 a.m. for 2 nights in a row, and the third night in a row was going to be the full moon, was going to be the culmination, and I got called in at the morning of day 3. For those of you who have met me, don't fuck with those I love. Just saying, and don't manipulate other people so you can get lucky, or and they were. That's what they were doing. I did some research into the spellcraft. I did some research into the method. It was contagious by touch, and anyone who was touched would have something crawl out of their mirror at 3 a.m., but nobody believes in that, so don't worry, it's not really happening. You know what happens when you scare 1,000 people at once? You generate a lot of energy, and they were trying to harvest that. So I got on their wires the night of and backfed it up to them and fried everyone who was on the conduit. It stopped the spell, but what it did not do is go door to door, house to house, and make sure that everybody was fixed, was unbroken, was okay. And someone got past. Someone just slipped through the cracks. I didn't know. And ever since then, she's been haunted at 3 a.m. every night. Now, I'm going to say once, just because I can do a lot of really cool things, I shouldn't hold myself accountable for when I don't. But it is really hard knowing that I coulda, shoulda, mighta done something about that, knew that it was going on, and didn't fix it all. Especially when she ends up, luckily, coming to me so I can. So now I get to get rid of this shadow effect where a residual ghost, I'm guessing it's a white lady, it feels like a white lady, picked up on this residual energy from the trauma of the 3 a.m. effect and started poking her with a stick, essentially, so that it could get energy. Now, we've talked before, but let me be clear. In my experience, non-physical beings that were alive that aren't are stuck. They can't eat. They can't drink. They can't really breathe. They can't interact, but they can't go to sleep. They can't stop being hungry. They do wear out of energy no matter what. And since they can't refuel, they walk around unable to like tone us out completely, but unable to actually touch, hear, or be heard. Pardon me. They can hear, from what I can tell, unless they're so wrapped up in their own crazy that they just don't pay attention. So, a lot of times you'll find that these wonderful, beautiful people in life, once they've passed on, they are lonely. They are tired. They feel gross. They don't like it. If I was perpetually starving and alone and constantly surrounded by everybody else, I'd be pretty upset too. It's kind of torture. So this creature that was following her around, I believe, was taking advantage of her 3 a.m. fright so that it would be able to get energy easily. I have not been able to get over there and do anything about it. Normally, I'm going to just throw it out there that there are a lot of mosquitoes here. No, no, normally there's a 24-hour response time on any time I find out about something, because you don't assume they can't hear you. You don't assume that they can't respond. You don't want them to get all like up in arms. If I'm going to go and take care of somebody who is stuck being miserable and alone, the last thing I want is for them to take out every last ditch effort they possibly can and be waiting for me like an enemy. I'm not ever an enemy to just about, oh, mosquito, to just about anything. So when I catch non-physical beings that are actually detrimental to people, I make them happy. I help send them home to their original locations. When I find ghost spirits, non-physical humans, some of them are very much still alive and just off their meds or in a coma or insert a whole lot of circumstances. When I run into those, I try to make them comfortable enough that they stop feeding on the people, because there's no need for them to if they've got enough food. How easy is that to actually do in every circumstance? Well, you can set up a candle on a table nearby, provided that it's not likely to be knocked over by cats, knees, kids, knees, or dogs. Provided that the house is secure enough, the window's not going to blow open and knock it over, that seriously with mosquitoes, that there's not going to be some kind of scenario like that where the fire is going to be a danger to anyone. You can just feed the creatures so that they don't feed on the humans. And it turns out that there is a balance, because, you know, if you set out food for the cockroaches every night, you're going to get more cockroaches, right? We all know this. So there is that factor. You don't want to just start gathering ghosts. But if they're just living in your house, and here's a thing that I need to contact her and discuss this. If you have a ward, so there's a boundary up, and that ghost is inside your ward, it's probably, it belongs there for some reason. It's not intending to bring you harm, etc., etc., etc. So if you just feed it so it doesn't eat you, you can just be good roommates. I mean, you don't even have to buy groceries, just incense and candles, which most people like living with anyway. I mean, I know a lot of just muggles who really like incense and candles. You can also set them out a shot of alcohol that will slowly evaporate. You can serve them a little plate of food whenever you eat. You can set out pictures, charge things from nature, put out crystals to capture the sunlight and put them on the... And if you know, hello, Michelle Jennings, if you know who the spirit is, you can set out a picture of them and deliberately feed them so that they'll come around and check on you. And then you can have an ally on the other side, which is not a bad thing. In fact, when I have, in this very unique background that I have, when I've ended up in a jam with things that have no skin, I will often use my allies on the other side to help cover my back, because there's certain areas of my back in that sense that I don't ever actually see functionally. And that's true for most of us. So this weekend, I got to meet someone for the first time, describe her energy thing. Yeah, Leah, sometimes they can't get out. They're stuck inside the ward and they can't get out. But a lot of times, if you do it right, any ward should have an outflow. Let me be completely blunt for a minute. You should always be able to poop. So if your ward is set up to not let anything out, then you're trapping all of your emotional garbage and you don't let it out, and it's not healthy. And we all need that. So especially when your house wards are set up, you want to let the bugs out, you want to let the spirits out if they need it, you want to let all the bad out and attract all the good in. So there's that. How do I always come out here and forget to bring bug spray and then I get eaten alive by bugs? This is the second time that it's been really bad. I might be running off in a minute to get some bug spray. But so I did want to say though that when it came to me helping this lady, we ended up, oh, thank you, Michelle. When it comes to us working with, yes, Cam, precisely, everything needs an excretory system. That's so much nicer than you got to be able to poop. Both are accurate. Synonymous, but more polite. I like the more polite. So when it comes to meeting this lady, I didn't know her very well, but I saw her. I saw her, you know, on that other level that a lot of us can see people. I like to refer to it as seeing people with their skin off, which doesn't sound like a horror movie at all, obviously. But I saw this hollow space in her chest. I saw where she'd been fed off of so much that she felt empty and looked energetically empty. Now, I'm not referring to her heart chakra specifically. I'm actually not. I'm talking about her energy entity seemed to have this kind of vortex in the middle where something kept sticking a straw in there and siphoning out when she was asleep. No wonder she was waking up, freaked out every night. I wasn't right. So I sat down with her and I described all of this and I filled, that must have looked really weird. I just picked up energy and yeah, I do need a citronella plant. Those are plants, aren't they? I forgot. I'm gonna put it right there. I forgot they're plants. I'm used to citronellas being candles. You know, you plant a candle and it grows. Pagan fail. So when it comes to the beautiful things working with this lady, I managed to just pick up energy and kind of fill it in and help her breathe into it and spread it out through her body. And what was cool was I used really simple words with her and I was able to explain it calmly with her. And when I finished, her energy body did actually look intact. And I reminded her that that's how she's supposed to be and to try and keep it that way, and to whether I come out or whether she does something on her own. Either way, last thing I want to do is barge in. Now, can I just tell you guys that there was someone offering her $3,000 to fix that problem? $3,000. Said there's so much work to be done. It is so hard. I do need some tiki torches that have some citronella fluid. I keep meaning to go get those, but it turns out they're not here. So if you could bring those over, Jennifer. Not right now. But yeah, so I managed to have this really intense connection with a woman I'd never met before. Okay, Leah, so what you're going to do is you're going to take your citronella plant that you have, and you're going to take a little baby of it. You're going to hold it up to the screen and push really hard, and then I'm going to take it out. Okay? Don't do that. It's not actually recommended. Your laptop will be messy. So I managed to have this really deep, immediate, or, you know, communication-based, but almost immediate connection with a woman that I'd never met before. I managed to discuss all sorts of things with her in a lot of very comfortable depth. And my point in saying all of this was that I had some very simple proof. Yay, vulture! Leah said, oh, geez, a vulture. Vultures are my priestess. When I first really, truly claimed my status as a priestess the next morning. Total tangent. Oh, my gosh. I apologize, guys. No linear anything. What? We had just finished a Samhain ritual. And I was at my neighbor's house. I'm going to point because you guys can all see. Would you like to see? Like, really messy. I haven't totally unpacked from Wisteria. Down there. That's my neighbor's house. Anyway. We have this really cool area she lets us use where it used to be a pool. And there's a triple deck deck. And there's a pine tree out back and a fire circle in the middle, and we have this huge area that we fill up with all kinds of beautiful humans, and we have so much fun. And I really just embraced the fact that I was a leader. I was putting together an event. I was going to talk with expertise, with people who were also in their own way experts, and I was going to embrace the sharing of community. First time I really let myself do that, truly. And it was hours of just awesome. And the next morning I get up and I'm exhausted and I'm wired and I'm ecstatic and I'm trying so hard to clean things up in this I can't possibly go back to sleep 8 a.m. haze. And I was up till like 3, 5 in the morning, something, because when we have Samhain, we have Samhain. And I'm up at 8 a.m., 10 a.m., just, whoa. And I sit down out of exhaustion and I flopped on the hill next door. And when I sat up, a vulture was circling around high over the circle. And it was like he was swimming in this energy that we had raised from the ritual. And she took the draft of the air and swirled around and came down to where just above the top of the pine tree, this huge, like 6-story pine tree at the bottom of the hill in her backyard next door. And it's even at the top of the pine tree and swoops down and flies right over where I just sat up from laying on the ground with my eyes closed. And this creature is huge. I mean, same wingspan as me, and comes flying so close over top of me that I could feel its essence. Here's the cool thing. During my training, I had a lot of problems with individual teachers being able to work with me on a real positive level. I could go through all the drama of it. I won't. I don't use names unless I need to. At least one of them was a serial rapist. I will mention his name if it ever comes up, I'm telling you. No, I couldn't make that up. It was bad. I actually had someone who knew him show up and said, "Is he involved?" And I'm like, "No, if he were, he wouldn't be involved." She's like, "Oh, thank God." I was terrified to get involved in the community because of him. Beware predators. But no, I had a lot of issues with my teachers, and then I prayed really hard for a really good teacher, and finally the powers that be said, "You know what? We got this." I'm not on that many drugs, like, no. They're like, "Excuse me, are you questioning us?" No. I said, "So what's this going to be like? Like, I go to the library and stuff?" They're like, "You got to get books somewhere. We're not going to ask you to buy all of them. Besides, I've got a better resource anyway." Amazon was not really a thing, so it said. I'm like, all right, and when I have questions, we'll answer them. And they gave me this look, and I'm like, okay. It was surreal. It was unreal. Absolutely stunning. When I would walk, because I deliberately didn't have a car at the time, when I would walk to work and I would be on time for work, when I would be walking to a friend's house and I knew that they were going to be home and waiting for me, I didn't have a cell phone. Who wanted a cell phone in 2001? I guess it was 2000. Nobody had a cell phone. That was crazy rich people stuff from the 80s riding in their convertibles in LA. So I'm walking around and the cars would just get out of my way. Have you ever visited any metropolitan area where every intersection you get up to, it's either a green light and or there's no cars coming to block your path? Ever? Now imagine that for 6 months straight. Luckily, I had a friend who I've recently reconnected with, Karen. If she's out there, holla. She at one point did, thank God, get to walk with me to class. And she said, "Oh my God, we're going to be late." And I said, "Well, wait a second. Let's get to this intersection." She said, "What? Why?" I said, "Because if I'm on time, cars get out of my way." She's like, "That's cute." I mean, I'm not trying to question, but come on. I said, "Wait, try it. Let's see." Now, for those of you who've been Lafayette, West Lafayette, there's this thing that's River Road and 26. River Road goes like this. There's like 6 lanes of stupid and many Asian drivers who have not figured out American driving laws yet, and many, well, American drivers haven't figured out American driving laws yet, and then a whole lot of people who just really don't care. And then everybody else who are honking at them because they're dangerous. And then there's 26, which is not 6 lanes, it's not 4 lanes, and it really ought to be. And we walked not through that actual intersection, and this was before they updated it, when it was like fancy and spacious with all these intelligent lights. No, this was when it was like, let's see who we can hit when we're driving. And we walked across what's now Wabash Landing to River Road, up the hill, up the middle of the road if we really wanted to, just to see if it worked, and it did, by the way. Up the hill, all the way through the actual neighborhood area around the community center there, to the building where we had our dance class. Every lane we needed to cross had no cars as far as the eye could see. She's like, we gotta run and catch the gap. I said, no, we don't. And we just walked. There's not words for this. No words for this. I can't begin to describe. But when I was doing all of this, I ended up having one book after another. One of the first books I got said, when you're reading, read the footnotes. If there's a resource that's referenced that you are interested in, take note. If there's a bibliography, read it. Check the authors. Check where it's referenced in the book. Keep track and get those books. And I felt those words on a deeper level. I did that. And I cannot describe how much information I ended up getting, including, I found out that there is the oldest extant dream encyclopedia. The name is Greek because it was a Greek text. It was written around 50, 80, 50 BC, that century, still in print. You can get it. Like, I mean, this isn't a long list of things that you could check into and like, oh man, which one is it? No, like there's one. I was able to get it on interlibrary loan from Indiana University with like no warning, and everyone's like, no, I'd love to get that for you. That's so cool. So I get it in and I start flipping through it. And one of the things, the whole reason I mentioned all of this was your fault, Leah. It's all your fault. Vultures in ancient Greece, it turns out, were considered to be the single most magical creature there was. Because you see, all vultures were believed to be women. They were all believed to be not women, but females. Pardon. This is a situation where I need to be specific. They were believed to be females that were believed to be magical, and in that they were impregnated by wind. And they were able to procreate using only the wind. They were believed to be basically the mouthpiece of the gods. In another reference, I found out that they were believed to be the most sacred animal to read as far as, there's a word for it, but reading guts, because that's what they did a lot in ancient Rome. Because, you know, if something's sacred, kill it. Roman, obviously. And these creatures, these beautiful, majestic creatures, were later demonized for eating carrion, but they also cleaned up after, you know, other people, the animals, the highways, everything. That's part of the reason we have so many healthy vultures now, is because they have managed to take advantage of our modern roadway system. And so carrion feeders are now suddenly having a resurgence in the modern American climate. And then this creature that symbolizes witches, that symbolizes the connection between man and the gods, that nothing flew higher than them, that they were the wind. Yes, reading entrails. Thank you, Kim. And there's even a fancier word for it. I just don't remember what it is right now. It's got 5 syllables and shit. But these vultures were believed to be the connection between man and the gods, that if you really needed to convey a message to them, if you could find a way to get a vulture to eat it, they could carry it up to the gods for you. They were the embodiment of magic. And as soon as I finished my first real ritual that I'm willing to host, all of a sudden one vulture flies up above me. And you know, sometimes that's really all the proof you get. sometimes that's all the proof you want, but sometimes that's all the proof you get. That this spirit animal, for no apparent reason, at exactly the right time, just walked up to me. Now, what's really funny is I meet my student. Yep, was done all the time, Jennifer says. Felt if the animal was killed in ritual, then the entrails will predict the future clearly. Oh, psychopomp. It is also psychopomp. That is true. I'm just gonna do a search. Let's see if it works. Fancy word for reading entrails. See if it works. Haruspex. Hepatoscopy. Hepatomancy. No joke. It worked. I'm gonna page print screen. You guys get to see this because it's really funny. All right. Ow. Just kidding. Just kidding. It's not working. I don't know why. Why is it not working? It's not letting me post a picture in the comments. Wah ha 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 ha. Yeah. Fancy word for reading intro. All right, you guys, don't go away. Go refill your drink. I'm being eaten alive by mosquitoes and I've got to fix this. I'll be right back. Okay, my dog senses love. This is all natural insect repellent. It is Cutter natural insect repellent, as in it's made with citronella and wonderful things that don't make you feel like your skin can't breathe. Because regardless of anything else, yeah, I know, Adam. I planted some. It's just, one, it's over there where I can't get any Wi-Fi, and two, it didn't grow. I know, I should plant more. This is where I happen to plant, I'm not going to tip this exactly right so you can see, and I am going to make you look at the top of my head so I can spray my legs because they're being eaten alive. But no, the radishes and watermelons and the cat glared at you. Cam, I love you. You make me happy. Just gonna spray my laptop off to convince all of the bugs to stay away from us. See if I can do a summoning spell or sympathy magic where I spray the laptop and keep bugs away from all of us. What do you guys think? Work? Spray a sigil with it. Maybe draw a sigil in it. But no mosquito. My kids like to do that, by the way. They like to write summoning spells and random pictures on the insides of the big freezers at the grocery store. They like to and draw things on there. I'm not sure if they realize that they're doing sigil magic, and I'm not entirely sure that they intend to at times, but then they start making all these smiley faces and random things, and I'm like, you should stop that. One, it's unsanitary, and two, I'm not sure who you're affecting. Oh, Adam, show off. I want your lavender. I'm actually, get this, I'm not sure if it's French or English lavender. There's French lavender, there's English lavender. One of the two I'm allergic to, and my sinuses swell up so bad I can't smell anything. The other one is wonderful and lovely. I should really figure out which is which. No pun intended. Because, you know, I like being able to smell lavender and still smell, as it turns out. So, when I was talking to my friend about helping her out with her ghosty situation, because I was, I got to do some research on white ladies. Do you know, I think you guys remember me talking about fairies before, that it's really circular, right? There's elves who help people make shoes and help clean up the house. And then there's elves who are the high elves, who are she. There's brownies, which are also the same as house elves, which are not Dobby the house elf. They're house elves. And brownies can also be brownies, which are annoying things that throw things at you, not because they're intending to be annoying, but because humans are really funny when they're annoyed. Then there's fairies, which fly, and they're little. And then there's pixies, which fly, which are little. And then everything is referred to as fae and fairy, but then pixies can also be used to refer to elves. Have we gotten circular enough for you yet? Wait until we get into trolls, ogres, and orcs. Whew! There's no way to tell the difference between them. Oh no, I'm pretty sure, Adam, I know it was either French or English lavender, but probably Spanish lavender is fine. Actually, that's the one I should probably go with. That's a good suggestion, if that's what you were going for. Dude, someone's driving up to my house right now. Crazy. So, with all of that fun stuff said, there's so many of these different circular terms where things are really hard to research because the definitions often overlap and whatnot. Well, one of the things that I have done research on, that I did research on the other day, pardon me, was white ladies. And white ladies, as it turns out, are a number of things. They are a distressed bride, summer, winter, and wild hunt. Cam, I agree that I too like summer, winter, and the wild hunt, but I'm not sure where you're going with that. If you could talk me through it. I'm not sure how that was, what that was a response to. So, when I am trying to do research on white ladies, I discovered that they might be a spurned love, abandoned. Oh, summer fae, winter fae, and the wild hunt. Oh my gosh, everybody loves the wild hunt, except, depending on the circumstance, except for the deer. But in theory, the stag is deliberately never caught, right? So when I lose my train of thought, I trail off dramatically and take a sip of my tea. Cheers. I am not drinking the blood of my enemies this time. I'm just drinking tea. I don't have any V8 right now. Or if I do, I do. I have V8. I could go get some. I'll stick with my mate first, though. My spiced mate helps my brain wake up, which I need to keep it perky for right now. Especially since I have to give you guys the next section of the search for the shape-shifting warrior. I do. But white ladies could be a spurned bride. They could also be a mother who lost a child. It's true, they do hunt other things too. It's just, oddly enough, Cam, I don't often see any pictures of anything being killed by the wild hunt except for occasionally deer. That's why I made that comment. They often hunt the fox, whose job is to get away, obviously. They sometimes hunt the swans, and I guess there's maybe one story where they catch the swan. There's some other birds that they hunt that they might catch, like ducks, geese. But for the most part, I'm so used to the hunt generally resulting in, game hens. Hundreds of game hens. That's who actually dies. But I'm used to only seeing the roast at the end being either a boar or a deer. So I was making a specific comment. But for everybody other than the prey, it's a wonderful thing. Everybody loves the wild hunt, except for the prey. That was my comment I was trying to go for before. Short story versions often do not do anything justice. And actually, if y'all haven't, I got to go back to school for art history and learn all about these magnificent medieval tapestries that show wild hunts and show the wild hunt. If I could have one of those on my wall. Oh, that's true. The way old Irish does hunt humans. I forgot about that. That was creepy. I mean, you gotta be, if we're honest with ourselves, if there was an invading species that was really awful about forcing out your kind and killing them, it would make sense to hunt them. And that's kind of the way the story goes. And by the way, we won. So, so white ladies, many different definitions. The one thing I will say that I find consistent is that they're always non-physical beings that are stuck in mourning, in search, in a state of perpetual loss. And that is the one thing I can say for sure that I have experienced among these. It's like the only uniting factor between all of the stories. Now, what's funny is I could say that about almost any ghost story. It's all about the story of loss and the perpetual search for its solution, right? So anyway, when I was trying to find something to send this lady, my friend that I met the other night, who was probably, but not necessarily, being hunted, stalked, guarded by a white lady every night, it was very difficult for me to find the right reference to actually explain it coherently. No harm, no foul. Not to make a bird joke, because I can't resist pointing out the pun that was there. Anyway, so I think I got to tell you guys about Wisteria already, which is good because it's been a minute and I've been home and I've been tired. Oh, I've been tired. I have a new book to announce, and I meant to do that earlier today, but then I tallied the votes between all the different groups that I keep up with, and by a hair, the Incarnations of Immortality won the vote. So we are going to start reading the Incarnations of Immortality soon. Yay! So we all get to read about death. On Wednesday, we get to talk about the War of Art, which is very much in line with where I've been going with the study sessions, both literally and figuratively. Because, see, to take what I introed this whole conversation with almost an hour ago, can you believe it's been an hour? Crazy, right? To go back to what I introed with. Humans are more likely to be excited about change if they're excited about the change. If you invite some, oh, no worries, Leah. Mwah, we'll see you in a bit. If we are going through our day-to-day life, the humdrum, the bullshit, and we are confronted, like I said before, with a change your ways, and we get grouchy. We're forced. My teenager, 13, keeps informing me that, Mom, I don't like to do dishes when I'm forced. I'm like, then don't do them when you're forced. Do them when you're asked. Today I finally went into her room and I'm like, I think you don't like me. She's like, why? Because I keep asking you very nicely to do the dishes and you just don't. Believe it or not, we need an empty sink. I know this is a strange notion, but we need an empty sink. And you just won't do the dishes until it's piled high. Mom, it's not like that. I'm like, then when are you going to do them? Now, oh no, you don't have the book yet. Do I need to put off? I'm going to put a question out there. The War of Art was going to be discussed this Wednesday. I don't really feel ready for it either, but this happens to be the Wednesday when I'm available. I would love to be able to still discuss the War of Art this week, so that way my other Wednesday night plans, there's no conflict. Because, by the way, last time we had a discussion night, I typed up everything right before running to a meeting and then moderated the conversation while I was at a meeting, and I don't like multitasking quite that much. Like, I'm good at it, but so I would like to go to the every other week thing around my meeting. I'll put it out as a question though. Jennifer asked, I'm responding to these comments as I see them. Which Wednesday? Hopefully not this Wednesday. I don't have the book yet, was what she said. And I really need to double check if the War of Art is okay to discuss this Wednesday, if people are going to be ready for it. Because I really haven't been reminding you guys as much because I've been writing normal study sessions, and I probably need to start writing just a once every couple of days check-in post about things now that I have a real schedule. But when I try to teach a lot of what I teach, oh, Jennifer, I will do my best to give you another week. It's a really easy read. It really is, but I will try to give you another week. We'll talk about it as a group, though. If anybody wants to chime in here, feel free. And again, I will put it out on the Facebook. I'll announce the new book today after I get off this, and I will ask about the current book and see what everybody says. So where I was going with this is actually how all of these things tie together. A lot more people, no, that's not what I'm going to say. Here's what I'm going to say. A lot of people, when they read the Harry Potter books, went, our children are going to be corrupted. Remember that? Oh my God. Do you remember that? Was that the craziest thing you ever saw in your life? Everybody lost their shit over the fact that there were witches and wizards and it was okay. Like, I don't even have words for how completely baffling this was to me. I was so confused. It didn't make sense. It wasn't like real. I mean, it wasn't not. And boy, howdy if it could be real. Like, Leviomus, whatever. I'll float away. Give me a second. I'm in. We're all in. We all know this, right? But here's the thing. What Harry Potter did do was not teach anybody magic. It did not, for the most part. It allowed people to be casually interested in it and not demonized for it. But more than that, it taught people how to be brave. Let me be clear. It taught people how to be brave, how to stand up for what they need to do, how to be willing to look somebody in the eye and say, I got this. And to be able to say, no, this is scary, and still do it. It explained a lot of lessons, not about magic, but about love, about taking care of each other, about seeing past the scales and the claws and the teeth into something real and intimate in a creature or in a human, and being able to tell the difference between someone who could save the world and someone who could destroy it. We all struggle with this concept in our day-to-day life. I was talking earlier about the issues I've had with predators, and that a lot of pagan communities have had with predators. And I would like to discuss that in some more detail. But first, let me just say, what Harry Potter did do was take off the shackles of we're not allowed to talk about that. That's what it did. And yet everybody lost their shit when they hadn't read it, because the catchwords were scary. They were scary. It didn't have to have definition or meaning. Now let me tell you right now, what I'm doing right now, this is scary. At any point, somebody could get onto a number of groups and just see my face doing things in a video. People I don't know can see me talking about stuff for weeks after the fact. How do I feel about this? This is scary, okay? Magic can be really scary. There's a lot of things in life that can be really scary. The War of Art confronts that. The War of Art confronts that very nicely in a way that draws attention to what I'm trying to do in my study sessions right now. Because, see, my study sessions are trying to cover very heavy, specific, deep, complex, advanced subjects for all of you. And if you're paying attention, they are. You're learning stuff. You are. It's just hidden in plain view. The same way that the book The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss, God, I can't talk about that enough. It's a series, and they're amazing. They explain the physics of magic in a way. If you read the Wizard of Earthsea trilogy, which is not a trilogy, of course. There's no such thing as a trilogy in the book world anymore, I swear. But if you read it, he talks about the power of naming, the power of words, the power of magic, and the real understanding that goes behind it. You want to learn how sigils work? You can read Laura Tempest Zakroff. That starts with Z. Bad with names. Getting better with names, but still. You can read Tempest's work about sigils, and it's amazing, and it's wonderful, and I've seen her work, and all of her sigils just speak on a deep level. But also, you can read this book that was written by Ursula K. Le Guin in 1976, I want to say, that talks about the truth of essence of being, and learn it vicariously through enjoyable fiction. You can go play and get a chance to learn about the daily application of magic bullshit if you read the Laurell K. Hamilton books. Now, fair warning, there's sex. I know we're all going to die and turn purple at that one, right? But and lots of sex, let's just be very clear about that. So please do not recommend it to anyone who qualifies as a child ever. There's also lots of blood and violence and things. But it also explains a whole lot of real world application of. There's anything by Marion Zimmer Bradley, oh my gosh, that talks about magic and practice throughout history. And then there's the Incarnations of Immortality, which is what we're about to start. And that also uses the sweetness of a very pleasant storyline, very casual, deep, holy crap, did I just get sucked into that? What happened to the last 4 hours of my life storyline that talks all about the place that archetypes have in our day-to-day world, not in somebody's day-to-day world, not in, Greek and Roman times, not in some English major's tutorial. Same way this table exists and rocks back and forth a whole lot of times if you knock it, apparently. Archetypes are very real in our day-to-day life. And that's a good thing. It's an important thing. That's what the Incarnations of Immortality focus on. And it's not a bad experience to go through that carefully, book by book, talking about the different experiences of them. I think you will all fall in love with the Fates. I know I did. The Devils never look so good because, there's a book about the Devil's incarnation. There's a lot more there for you to pick up on than you would expect. And I'm very excited about that. But remember I said before, the thing that I'm covering in my study sessions is the thing that the War of Art technically addresses? I'm not joking. The War of Art talks about how anything worth doing is terrifying. Terrifying. The more that it is intimate, the more that it is loud while driving by, not really, the more that it is resonant in our very essence and our very beings, the more it feels like our delicate heart guts might be affected if someone had an opinion or disagreed or didn't approve, or if I didn't get it. That is a thing that we all need to recognize when we're talking about what can we do, what can't we do. Because those words are lies that we wrap ourselves in. I can means I see the possibility that I could foreseeably in my future do this. I can't possibly go through another breakup. How many people have said that ever? And how many people have been right? Oh, turns out. You can always go through another breakup. Just don't, do your best to live up to the expectations of the day-to-day world so you don't have to. But that doesn't mean you can't. And what you can do, you will often be highly impressed by, but it won't necessarily stack up to your expectations. So when I talk about my books, when I talk about my work, when I talk to you guys about the study sessions in general, and the idea of becoming a witch, the idea of doing magic, the idea of changing the world, because let's be honest, that is what magic is. Just changing the world. And if you look in the mirror every day and say, I can't, and then you try to do magic, you're tying your own wrists. You are tying your hands together and then saying, no, I'll get it. No, I'll get it. I'll get it. So either you need to untie your wrists or you need to ask for some help already, because you're not going to be able to do both. Now, some forms of magic are asking for help. Some of them are. But a lot of magic is actually self-liberation. I was actually just laughing earlier today. I got to do a handful of things back to back to back to back. I got to take care of a couple work phone calls, and I was finishing up some PDFs that I could get sent off. I just realized I never sent them off. I'll get them sent off before 9 a.m. tomorrow. Did I mention I was scattered as anything earlier? Yeah, that was real. So when it comes to the work that I was trying to do besides work, I end up making a phone call to try and get some, so where do I want? Habitat for Humanity. Those in Lafayette, there's a group called Area 4. It's building maintenance, it's weatherproofing, it's utilities assistance, it's financial assistance, and it's a department on aging specifically here in Lafayette, but it's also more than that. I was trying to find out if there's an equivalent of that up in Detroit, Michigan. And by the way, shout out if anybody knows of anything in Detroit, Michigan, shoot me a private message. I've got someone I need. I'm trying to help them out. But see, that's what I do. I take people over here who need opportunity. One of my students said, I need to be writing more. And then somebody said, I need to find writers for this page that I'm on. I introduced them. Now I have some friends who are writers for a page that I'm on, and I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I'm such a nerd over this. I called and tried to find out about the Area 4 assistance program and whether there was an equivalent up in Detroit, Michigan. I took care of connecting the dots with some messages back and forth, making sure if a friend of mine was doing okay after a strange epiphany earlier today. And I turned to my foster kid, who I'd also been up talking with until 3 in the morning, and I looked at her, I said, you know how much of what I do as a priestess is just helping people real life? And she burst out laughing. I said, yeah, I can see that. I said, I'd love to say that I'm always bringing people like existential wisdom. But no, the main thing I'm always saying is you can. You can. Just wait. You can too. I'm like a salesman, except for your own self and well-being. I try to convince you that you can be anything you want to. And I'm normally comically correct. I'm really excited about that, by the way. So the good news is you can. The bad news is that there is this whole war of art thing that goes on in everyone's life. So the things that we want the most are the most terrifying. They are the things that matter the most. Like, it's so easy to go out and be like, have a friend say, hey, go stand on the stage and say like, peanut M&M's are best. And you go out and you stand on the stage and say, no, I can't do it. And then they're like, no, do it. All right. Okay. And you cover your eyes and you go, peanut M&M's are the best. But if you had to say the same words in the middle of a play for the entire high school, and all you did was run out on stage and shout that and run off stage, you couldn't breathe, you know? That's the point of what I'm saying. That's the point of the book, The War of Art, because suddenly it becomes something real. It becomes something palpable, measurable, personal. It's not just words that you're saying. You're putting yourself out there. Everyone's got a script in their hands that says, Jim Wilson is going to be shouting the words about the M&Ms. So you're like, I'm going to do it right. People have expectations of me now. I'm going to die. That's where stage fright comes from, you know? Jennifer, I may know someone. Remind me, he just left the farm this weekend and went back home. Oh, yes, Jennifer, please. I have a friend with a black mold situation who is also disabled and, by the way, is having heart and lung issues and has been for years, and has a black mold issue he's had for years. Forgive me if I assume these two things are related. I'm really hoping to help get that kicked over into fixed, but I'm not sure how, because black mold's a remediation issue. Anyway, it's scary to stand here, sit here, and tell you guys about how I want to help a friend and just ask for help. The Art of Asking is probably going to be our next nonfiction book, actually, for this reason alone, because a lot of us here in this community need to learn this one. I think we're going to do The Art of Asking as our next nonfiction subject. So we're going to go fiction, nonfiction, fiction, nonfiction, fiction. We'll just keep going like that, okay? And we'll go through the entire series of Incarnations of Immortality, just linear in between these other things. Oh no, somebody left me. No, come back. All it tells me is how many people are watching. And I keep talking so that we have a coherent video long term. But give me a shout out. Who's still with me? Doom, 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 doom. Doom, 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 doom. Do, 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 do. Nope. Who's still hanging? Jennifer, you still with me? Leah had to go. I don't know who's still with me. Oh, my babies are with me. They just came out to join me.
Sure.
So,
Mom, you heard Dad. Mom, sure.
yes.
This is something that your study session might have to hear is because we're gonna fly the drones
Ooh.
and they might have to hear the sound.
We're all gonna die.
No, the sound when they fly. They make a sound.
It's true. They heard it earlier, actually, when I first chimed on. The drones were flying in circles. You guys happen to show up in a quiet point in the evening where there's just two of them and one of me and two of you. So now there's 5. And
No.
I was no.
There's only 2 of them.
You have to give me a Starburst mini. You like have to.
For you.
Oh, I don't want red and pink. Ugh, I don't like the cherry. So no, I was actually just talking about the books that we've been reading and how they all fit together.
I'm getting my spit off it.
You're so gross. Did you guys know that children are gross? They're
Yeah.
delightfully gross.
No.
Don't shake the whole
No,
table.
no.
Don't shake the table.
No, no.
We
are not annoying.
Still here, no group this week, so I get to watch the whole thing. Woo! Woo! Who else is with me? Is it Adam? I hope it's Adam. Is it Adam?
Is there only 2 people? Like 2 people? Oh, I thought you were having fun.
I did do a sleight of hand thing, didn't I?
Hi, Jennifer.
This is Juliet.
Hi, Jennifer.
Oh, Jennifer said hi, children. This is Asher.
Jennifer already met me.
You guys know how much. Hi, Ian.
Who's Anne?
Our friend. It's nice to see you.
Or Anne?
Ian. It's lovely to see
I
you.
heard
Sweetie.
Anne. Sorry.
Ian.
Sorry, Ian. Hi, Sue.
So, no, I have discovered. Oh no, Ian left. No.
Why?
I don't know. Sad face. Wait. So I did want to tell you guys.
Ian joined again.
No, Ian joined and then left. It only tells me when they join. It doesn't tell me when they go. So I did want to say that these guys should go away because you guys are subject. You are dominating the whole conversation all of a sudden.
Why am I on the other side and the house is on the other side? Because it's a mirror effect.
It is a mirror effect. It's looking over my shoulder. Go play. Go get your father. Go play with the drone. Go.
No, we're waiting for my
Make faces. Absolutely.
He's going to the bathroom.
No, actually, I will say this, that when it comes to a lot of the things that I teach, these guys help me a lot. Because if you can explain a subject to a 5-year-old, then you can explain it to most adults. And it's really cool, actually. I personally enjoy that immensely.
The reason that
You are not allowed to spit up things on my video. Love you.
The
Bye.
reason Asher made those faces is because he talks crazy.
Love you. Bye. Love you. Bye. Go away, sour face. Oh, I know. Jennifer sends hugs to all of us. Jennifer sends her hugs.
I'm stuck on my tongue.
I'm sorry. So,
I
have found that the simplest way to say things. Yeah, Jennifer that we know.
Oh.
I found that the simplest explanation is often the best explanation. So like I was saying a minute ago, if I can explain it to my children, then I can explain it in a way that anyone can understand. And a lot of the complex subjects that I end up discussing as a person, as a magic user, as a priestess, I keep finding myself saying how the thing is the words, the correct words that describe it correctly are too simple to truly encompass the reality that I'm trying to explain.
Can I spill them the pepper?
I don't know what you're saying.
Pepper.
Go. I love you, baby. You guys stay. My children, as much as I love them, should not hang out with us right this minute. I like having an attention span. So what I was going to say, though, is that a lot of these complex notions that we try to discuss with each other are a lot more difficult than the words that technically encompass them. And that if I can explain to my children that the more distracted I am, the less sense I make, and the harder it is to finish complex thoughts, then hopefully they understand, and everybody can understand, and we can all have a linear conversation. Plus, you're jiggling the whole screen, small child. Did you know that?
Sorry.
Okay, then get off the table. On another note, can I tell you guys, this is totally unrelated. I love this hair color. It's an all-natural hair color. It's called henna. Henna something. It's henna, but it was a wine red color, and it makes me very happy. Especially with my new shirt. I'm just covering my art stuff. So, I have a lightning bug. I will say also, the war of art challenges all of us to embrace all that we can do. And honestly, when I was at this real, what's the word for it, gully point in my own life, when it wasn't that I was scared of what I could do, it was scared that I couldn't do it. And Aaron happened to get a book that was The War of Art. I think he actually had it recommended to him by my best friend, Sarah Capoza. Shout out. And he picked it up and he read it through in like 2 days, just done. And he looks at me and says, Beth, you need this. He said, it's going to freak you out, and it should. I said, what? Why? He said, because I think you're amazing and you don't. And you should prove to the world how amazing you can be. And I'm like, what? By being a witch, author, artist, priestess, mother, anthropologist, art historian, engineer, electrical designer, writer? He's like, yeah, and a singer too. And I'm like, nobody does that. That's weird. He's like, nobody does that yet. Okay, maybe. So I look into this thing. I read this book, and I start having panic attacks as I'm reading this book. Because, oh, and let me go ahead and look this up, because I pulled this up last night for my foster kid's fiance, Steven Pressfield. The War of Art is a revolutionary book. It comes up very quickly if you look up Steven Pressfield. He is also a wonderful reader, etc. But, oh my gosh. Okay. Resistance, by definition, is self-sabotage. Okay? The artist and the mother are vehicles, not originators. Let me read that again. The artist and the mother are vehicles, not originators. They don't create the new life. They only bear it. This is why birth is such a humbling experience. The new mom weeps in awe at the little miracle in her arms. She knows it came out of her, but not from her. Through her, but not of her. Okay? I'm going to post that into, because goodness gracious, it's like the sum total of what I'm trying to convey in a lot of this. Here we go. That's the kind of stuff that this whole book talks through. Resistance is directly proportional to love. If you're feeling massive resistance, the good news is that it means there's tremendous love there too. Resistance is not a peripheral opponent. Resistance arises from within. It is self-generated and self-perpetuated. Resistance is the enemy within. Now, not to get ahead of ourselves, because I said we'd discuss this on Wednesday, but we're next Wednesday, possibly, Jennifer. Resistance is a very core concept that most of us should know. When we try to do something new with our life, whether in magic, whether as far as going back to school, whether as far as trying to make a new life change, whether because my dog just came outside, sorry. Trigger, you want to say hi? Come here. Trigger, you want to say hi? Yes, this is my dog. This is Trigger. I am lucky enough to have two different familiars. One is a black cat and one is a beautiful dog. So you get to see one of my beautiful pets. And he's going to photobomb while I finish this explanation. Resistance is the same in physics, it's the same in art, it's the same in metaphysics. It is the pushback against whatever you intend, okay? And the pushback of what you intend in life. This is a thing that is a very important concept. Now, Jennifer, you're with me still, so we're going to talk a little bit about what you've been dealing with, if that's okay with you. You can say no if you need to. See, what you've been dealing with, Jennifer, is you're about to go through a huge transition. You're about to forever, ever, ever be Jennifer forever. Not that you aren't already, but let's be honest, you're kind of getting rid of the escape hatch. The resistance that you're facing, that you're confronting, is a sense of self-doubt. It's a sense of the bitch in the back of your head, which I've mentioned before, and I will mention many times again. It says, but you can't. There won't be an escape hatch. You will die of misery and solitude. We all have one. They're all going to laugh at you. They're all going to hate you. No one will invite you in. You won't convince anyone of the blah, 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 blah. Everyone has one, and they all stink. Nobody likes that inner monologue. Nobody does. So Jennifer, just between you and me, talking about what you've been dealing with, what you've been having to confront in the way of self-doubt and concern, that's the resistance in your journey. That concern that once you truly embrace your reality, once you truly, I know, right? Once you truly embrace the full reality of your day-to-day persona and your new real. Like, I still get scared of this sometimes, where I am facing this world around me, and I go, oh crap, they're all going to catch on to the fact that I'm a weirdo. Like, obviously. But I'm queen of the weirdos, right? No, there's no queen among us. I mean, hey queen, Riley might get that one. She is the queen among us. I love you, Riley, so much. I hope you watch this. Anyway, but no, when each of us are going through life, there's this fear that someone's going to show up, and there's two simultaneous fears, which if you put these side by side, they don't make sense. One, Jennifer, is the, oh my gosh, listen to me, the phony police, basically, the counterfeit concept that we all fight, that, oh no, people are going to know that I'm faking it. People are going to know that I am not really. People are going to know. And in your case, you can go get surgery and you can be on hormones and everything, but you're concerned that people are going to look at you and still think that you are trans, whatever that word is supposed to mean nowadays. If you watched the latest viral video by My Trans Life, there's a beautiful, stunning trans model. Oh, I got to see her video earlier today. It's just incredible. I've looked at so many different women in my life, and mosquitoes next to my face. Oh my gosh, it's really distracting. Sorry. I looked at so many women in my life, and there's no mold that we were all cut out of. There's no right way to look as a woman. There's no one way where we all look. Okay, no, she's a real woman. I once met a woman. Seriously, with the mosquitoes. I once met a woman who was amazing. I really don't have another word for it. She wasn't gorgeous. I am the priestess among weirdos. I am. But there was a woman who I met through a kids organized event in my hometown, and she stood about 4'6", 4'7". I don't know that she ever topped 5 feet. I was 5'2" at the time, so I was just barely taller than her, and I thought that was weird considering she was a grown-up. And the thing is that as much as she wasn't very tall, she had these bazungas that came out to here. Like, I mean, children couldn't see over her breast to see her face. And then her face, I don't know if it's that she'd been taught that she couldn't be attractive, but she certainly didn't seem to fight for it at all. And she wasn't ugly. But I had this moment where I'd been taught a lot of just superficial crap by all of the Mary Kay parties, by all of the fashion ads, by all the TV shows where there is, you know, there's women and then there's everybody else who doesn't look like us. Now, I never put myself into that category. Believe it or not, for a long time, I was aware of the fact that I was awkward and tall, and that thing that was Pretty, I didn't quite have, and I could show you the pictures from when I was younger. I was a comically awkward child. I definitely bloomed later. But there was this point in getting to know her where I'm like, wait a second, is she allowed to like just walk around and be in charge of everybody and have all these opinions and you know, and I didn't like that I was thinking that. Let me be clear, I didn't like that I was having that go through my head. I didn't know where that was coming from. I didn't know who had ever informed that in my own thinking. But when I really truly confronted that, and thank God I did, I realized nobody gets permission to be a woman. Nobody's walking around and handing out cards, and it's not like just because somebody revoked your card and said you aren't doing it right, that all of a sudden you stop being able to do things and be in charge and have an opinion. It's not like you, Jennifer, looking however you might look from day to day. If you really wanted to walk out with crazy purple like polka dots and swirls on your face, you could do that every day, and that could just be your thing if you really wanted to. And every day you have different swirls on your face. Now let me go ahead and put this into a different perspective. There's an artist who is amazing, Amanda Palmer, who wrote The Art of Asking, which again, I've decided that's going to be the next book that we talk about that's nonfiction. She is phenomenal, and for the last 20 years of her life, she has shaved off her eyebrows every day and drawn on eyebrows every day. They're never the same price. They aren't supposed to be. Every day she deliberately looks different than the day before, and every day she is able to express herself partly through these eyebrows that she makes. That she makes. I work in an engineering office. Am I allowed to have fire red hair that's 3 feet long and not the slightest bit subtle? Am I allowed to walk in my stunning outfits? Am I too pretty? Because keep in mind, in engineering, there's a catch there. You can be too pretty. I keep fighting that and just going, you know what? I can't. You know, screw it. No, I can. I can go in my sundress and work just like everybody else. There's not technically a dress code. But remember I said there's two things. One is the counterfeit. Everyone's going to know I'm faking it. And you know what the other one is? The other fear, the other is that they're going to see me. They're going to see the real me. Are they allowed to? Like, I'm allowed to show them. I am allowed to show them that? Is that like flashing? Okay. Yes, you can take that as a joke. Yes, you can all burst out laughing right now. Totally okay. But Jennifer, you got to realize these two things. They're going to know I'm faking it, or they're going to know that I'm not. These are both terrifying. But the reason they're terrifying is because it's terrifying, not because you're doing anything wrong. In fact, let's go back to the quotes. The more resistance you experience, the more important your unmanifested art or project or enterprise is to you, and the more gratification you will feel when you finally do it. The artist, the writer, doesn't wait for inspiration. She acts in anticipation of its apparition. So you set everything in motion before it's time so that you are able to receive it. Here's another test. Of any activity you do, ask yourself, if I were the last person on earth, would I still do it? And more importantly, the counterfeit innovator is wildly self-confident. The real one is scared to death. Okay? If you're really doing it, for real doing it, it's terrifying. It's absolutely unnervingly awful and terrifying and stuff. Now, here's the other thing. That resistance, that fear, like a magnetized needle floating on a surface of oil, resistance will unfailingly point to true north, meaning that calling or action it most wants to stop us from doing. You can use this. We can use it as a compass. We can navigate by resistance, letting it guide us to that calling or action that we must follow before all others. We feed resistance with power by our fear of it. Master that fear, and we conquer resistance. The working artist will not tolerate trouble in her life because she knows trouble prevents her from doing her work. Most of us, when you have a job, you're like, oh, I'm sick, I can't go to work, oh no. I need to stay home in my pajamas. But when you really, really, really love something, you want it so bad. No, I'm sick, I can't do it, no. Yeah, so Jennifer replies, the problem with schools is that they're all trying to make everyone the same. Agree. Bitter agreement, but agree. And then Jennifer follows with, I bounce like a ball between the two, and I agree it is terrifying. No, it is. It's absolutely terrifying. And so it said, just this conversation, I'm sure you're noticing, Jennifer, is giving you a certain arsenal. It's giving you some weapons to help you on this path that you're already on, right? Well, here's the thing. The book that I've recommended is going to give you more tools, more weapons in your arsenal along your path. Yes, I know about gender dysphoria. I do. But please note, first off, I should say this once. From the time that I was like 16, I cracked a joke. I didn't realize how true it was at the time. I said, well, I'm basically a bisexual male transvestite stuck in a woman's body. I'm just really happy about that. Like, and if we've met, this is true all day long. I love my boobs. I love my body. It's great. I gotta show that off. Sorry, you said call. And I'm like, call. Wait, what? Yeah, fixing typo. I follow. But no. So there was always this point where I knew I was off, but I skipped the dysphoria part. Gender dysphoria. However, I have always felt like the duckbill platypus of the human race. I mean, you don't become a pagan high priestess in Indiana and start your own group for lack of something that fits the bill because you fit in. Okay, so that's nice and clear ones. I don't do all of this without being terrified. And a lot of what I am doing right now is actually based off of that experience. So for instance, the fairy tales that I keep telling you guys about, there's not a whole lot of us on right now, but let me go ahead and put this on the video and you guys can all be part of my community and be looking forward to this. I wrote a series of fairy tales that help inform what I perceive as the needs of modern people or modern fairy tales. And so the prince does not always end up with the princess. Nature is by itself a priority. Sometimes becoming a real boy involves becoming a real boy. And technology, by the way, if we mastered that one, not in our day-to-day lives. And a lot of what I cover in my fairy tales isn't just the fairy tales. The whole point of them was to actually, remember what I keep saying, is to teach us how to focus on the real lessons without running screaming from them. So I'm going to offer you guys these stories that I've written, these stories that I've read that help talk you into the real lesson of what you're going for in life. Don't break yourself. And I'm going to do that at the same time as giving you these non-fiction books. Juliet, help your brother. Get up and help your brother. I will yell at you even though I'm on the video. Juliet. Okay. She's just sitting there. What? I can't hear you. Children. Okay. So my fairy tales do address some of these things, some of these feelings of not fitting in, some of these feelings of how do I get better, How do I be okay? How do I confront these realities? How do I make responsible choices about what I want, what I really want? And no, I don't actually quote the Spice Girls, but what you really want out of life. And I give people permission to focus on that because that's kind of what I do. But I'm also going to give you these manuals that explain how to do it as well. Now, what is the difference between magic and self-help? Oh, my other familiar is coming out to play. Hey, baby, come here. My black cat. My black cat. This is Pepper. She's beautiful. She's also moving too much for it to not break up a little bit with the low light. But this is my kitty. My baby cat. Meow. I missed you. Yeah, I did. So, Jennifer, did you have the answer for that? Did you come up with it? I don't know if you did. What is the difference between magic and self-help? I love my babies so much. They're just crazy. They're just crazy. So the difference between magic and self-help, there's really not one. The only difference is that self-help assumes there's a point where you're no longer empowered. Magic doesn't. So if you right now want to look at the world around you and say, hey, I am going to charge this sunset and use that power to embrace my intentions and to magnify them and to help bring my intentions into fruition in this world, then you can take that sunset and you can do that. You can. Because when it comes to magic, it is self-help, but without any of the restrictions involved. Without the assumptions that you can't affect someone halfway across the globe. Without the assumption that, sickness is out of your control. That you can't possibly manipulate the doctors or the lawyers or the teachers to get what you want in life. It doesn't mean that the spells are always going to work, but there's that extra component. Now, Jennifer, let's go a step further with what you've been going through, though. I mean, I can talk through how the different pieces and parts that we're working with can help you, but since it's really you and me, let's embrace this, okay? You are going through a major transition right now. There are very few people who can understand that quite as much because there's going to be a before and there's going to be a middle where you go through the actual surgery. And you're currently in the before, you're on the hormones, you're going through a lot. Then there's the middle where you go through the actual surgery. And then there's the recovery, which is the after. And then there's some point after that where you're going to go back into real life, okay? Now what's funny is it's not a whole lot different from a divorce. It's not a whole lot different, and you've done that before. It's not a whole lot different than becoming a parent. It's not a whole lot different than going through a lot of these rituals of transition. The coming of age ceremonies that they do in a lot of these different tribal communities. The bar mitzvahs and bat mitzvahs of Judaism. There's a lot of symbolism, and if you allow yourself to embrace it, you can get a lot out of these experiences. And if you sit there and say, oh, no, it's not a big deal. Oh, no, it's not a big deal. I'll be fine. Don't worry about me. You'll tie your hands. You know what I'm saying? That you tie your hands. No, I'll get it. No, I got it. Hold on. Just give me a second. No, don't tie your hands. Untie your hands. Now let's talk. Okay? So, I have a bug crawling in my hair. So when you are going through your transition, Lovey. Really? You don't mind, Jennifer? I'm glad. Okay. Because I really feel like you and I have been overdue for a talk, and it's like you and me right now. And so instead of going, oh, I don't have a crowd, I'm going to just take advantage of this. When I was at Purdue, I got to have a couple of discussions. One was, what is religion and what is ritual? Because these are not the same thing. Church services. No, we're not doing. Are you kidding me? You guys kept stepping on the sparks. Your sister, my oldest daughter, decided to do this with a firework, and part of the firework broke off down the back of her shirt. Oh, it's so bad. Daddy rushed in.
It was a sparkler.
It was a sparkler because those are actually the most dangerous fireworks in my experience now. I am not giving you guys sparklers of any kind unless you have a parent with you, and I am not that right now. So go talk to your dad. See, Jennifer, honey, going back into life after the surgery scares me to death, she said. I get that. And by the way, there is a delay. I just got that. In the meantime, I discussed sparklers. Here's the thing. When we talked about ritual and we talked about religion, we talked about the symbolism of belief is embodied in ritual. The belief, the practice, the community, and more importantly, the agreed upon components, okay? The public agreements of what we believe is what is a big part of religion as a word, as a concept. Now, keep in mind, in this community, I've got to throw in the organized religion component, because we aren't kind of organized. We don't have to agree. We don't have to share beliefs in order to have a religion.
We are starting the drones.
There you go. He wanted to make sure everybody knows because they're going to make noise. Okay? Okay. And thank you to my beloved for constantly hurting the children for me during these. I love you. He's amazing. And seriously, I don't know I'm ever going to get him on film. So anyway, the reason I'm talking about this in response to you, Jennifer, is because the ritual aspect is vital. It has 3 stages. There's the introductory stage where you enter into ritual. You, in a way, exempt yourself from real life. You exempt yourself from the experiences of everyday life. And in this case, it happens to involve a runaway drone that disappeared over our roof. I'm so sorry. And then while the drone is up in the air, while the ritual is happening, once you've gotten used to this new reality, that's what's referred to as the liminal stage. You are currently in a different reality that is unlike anything you've ever seen. In this case, I have something flying in circles over my head that at any point in time could crash land into me while I'm talking to you guys. And then there's the stage where you come back out of the liminal phase of life. And when you do come back out of it, you settle back into, quote, real life. You have to transition because you were here, you came up and participated successfully or not in this liminal stage of things, hopefully in a shared fashion. And then on this side of it, you are coming back to a new and different reality. Now, in this case, my new and different reality is one where the drone is complete. We have new videos. Everyone's excited and talking about that. I'm not joking. I mean, this is going on in my life, but at the same time, this is relevant, okay? So, Jennifer, if you take this overall analogy, this overarching concept of ritual, where you are stepping into an alternate world, where you can literally have parts of you inverted, the stage of the inversion, the stage of your transition, where you are physically being transitioned, is going to be a major part of it. But in a way, because you've already done your introductory with your hormones, don't underestimate the fact you're already on your journey. That's just going to be the culmination. And the culmination is no small feat, because remember, you still have to heal and get back to normal. So you're going to keep going on this general uphill, 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 boom. Now, here's something I want to point out to you, Jennifer, specifically. You, Jennifer, are going to have this experience of transition, whether you stick with it or not. You understand? This is a really important concept. You are doing something that very few people ever do. People rarely do in modern life. They sit down in front of the computer and they fuck around. And they do the things and they spray themselves with some bug spray, again, because all night. And they drink their tea. They laugh at the video and they go through everything. But when you're checking into all of this, you're in a situation, hi Graham, I love you. you're in a situation kind of like this where you and I right now, Jen, I'm talking to you this whole time, but what I'm doing is looking at myself. And I want you to realize this as an analogy for what you're going through, because while everybody else is sitting down at the computer fucking around to a certain extent, you are sitting there just looking at you. You're taking this time to self-analyze. You're taking this time to spend it with you and get to know yourself as a concept, to get to know yourself as a real individual, as a component in your world. Now, there's no real way to overstate that. That's huge. Very few people, whether they go through initiation, whether they go back to school, whether they're pregnant, they don't go through that kind of level of self-awareness and self-education. And please recognize you are educating yourself right now on, oh my God, this level that no one that you know can probably identify with, of what do I want? Who am I? What am I? You remember, I mentioned earlier how I went through this major transition when I was going to my teachers, and my teachers were basically failing me. And I was going to my friends asking for help, and my friends did not know how to help me. And I was going in circles because, by the way, when I turned 18, my magic went, it was a mess. I was manipulating people by accident constantly because sex magic is not well behaved. If you come by it natural, it ain't nice. It's just not. And there were other components of things I was dealing with constantly, and it was hard. I do not recommend learning magic by falling downstairs, but that is basically what happened with me. So Jennifer, I got to go through hi Robert, and hi Sandy. I'm sorry if I didn't say hello. I'm sorry. We were having a heart-to-heart, Jennifer and I, and we still are. So I'm gonna keep going. See, there's this thing that happens when you truly confront who you are, what you want. When you truly confront that, you can have illusions all you want. You can sit there surrounded by mirrors, seeing whatever you want to, putting on your lipstick all day, spray painting on top of the mirror so you only get what you want. Put those posters up so you see what you want. But generally, especially considering what I was saying before about the war of art, the experience of that whole learning of self, we have to recognize the fact that what we truly want is to understand ourselves. And baby, you've got an excuse to do that. So whether you go forward with any surgery or not, you have an excuse to truly confront who you are and own that. That's what I want for you. Forget the rest of it. All of the rest of it is important. It is. And it will affect you, because what you're confronted with every day in the mirror affects you. The steps you have to go through to feel like you affects you. Whether that's because you're putting on fancy face paint every day, or the clothes, or the struggle, or if you don't look right, it's not a whole lot different, forgive me, but it's not a whole lot different from being like 400 pounds when you were 120 pounds at age 18. It's not a whole lot different from being one of those people who really truly believes that you're supposed to be a muscle-bound so-and-so and you're just a shrimp. It's really hard to get there for anyone where their outside doesn't match their inside. And the first thing I want for you is not to feel that anyone undervalues your struggle. I will remind you how many times I've said you're doing something a lot of people really ultimately would be jealous of if they thought about it. Because that reflection, that sense of self that so many people struggle with, you are having to confront. Once you've got that under your belt, oh my God, you're going to be a hero, man. Just actually knowing the answers to some of these questions for yourself, even once, beyond doubt, is huge. Huge. How many of us walk around struggling, I don't know, I'm just kind of numb, I'm not really sure. No, you're really confronting this, and I'm proud of you for that. But I also want you to realize how much your struggle really does parallel other people's. Now, the same way that I would love to be able to look at brown-skinned people as my family and be able to treat that as part of my existence, that their struggles are very similar to, let's say, what my aunt went through or what my grandmother went through, because that's how we really learn the value of someone's experience. We can identify with them on a visceral level. We can identify with them on a personal level, and their struggles become ours. Their trials become ours, and we try to embody that in the way that we assist them and in the way that we understand them. In a similar way, I want you to know that there's a lot of us who are learning through your struggles. We want to be able to identify with you. And the more that people can, especially as you're writing about it, if you'll let people identify with your struggles and really begin to identify with you as a person in going through all this, there's a good chance that you'll actually help provide that visceral connection like what I just described, where other people can identify with your struggles, where other people can identify with what you're going through and really feel themselves in your shoes. They can feel themselves going through this too, okay? I have somebody messaging me, and I'm not sure why. I'm going to check. Oh, no worries. Okay. So anyway, what I wanted to say to you, my lovely Jennifer, is that have patience with your struggle. Don't fit it into 500 words or less. Don't fit it into 50 words or less, that's for sure. I want you to realize how universal what you're doing right now really is. And actually, you might not have a context for this, and I kind of do. When I went down to the Amazon jungle, I got to go with some people who had lived in the suburbs their whole life. And they'd gone rock climbing in one of those places that do rock climbing. And they had a wonderful time. So when they got there, they put on their sneakers and they were ready to go in their jeans and their t-shirt. And then they started going. They're like, oh my God, this is what I was expecting. I forgot that it was like so real. Like, if we don't walk so many miles, we aren't going to get to where we need to be. Oh my gosh. In nature? Like, where's the bathrooms? And I looked at them kind of funny. And I said, you know, I kind of grew up around this sort of thing. I'm not really sure what you're struggling with. And they said, you what? Well, there were acres of wilderness that a guy nearby was such an ass about it. He's like, get off my land, to all of the kids that wandered in. He refused any developers, no matter how much money they offered him. And it ended up being just acres of beautiful wilderness with streams and berries and trees that had fallen and rocks, beautiful rocks we could find. Now, Jennifer, I don't want you to feel like the leader of others. I'm sorry, I don't mean to put that into you. Let me tell a story, okay? When I got down into the jungle, it wasn't a whole lot different than that forest that I'd grown up wandering through. I could find my way through because I could see where the paths were, because I could see where the animals had left them, and the animals are always going to go to the river, and they're always going to wander out to find the food, and they're always going to wander back out of the forest at some point. So if you knew where out was and you knew where in was, then you could find everything you needed by following the natural paths. And I got used to doing that. My kiddo's joining me. I also, when I went to parks around Purdue and here in Lafayette, I would find my way through them, and I just knew where the paths were, because once you got it, you know? So when I was down in Brazil, I could see which was the most frequently traveled path, which had most likely been traveled most recently. And after a while, the guides who were showing us through just let me lead, because I was better at tracking the paths than they were. Not because I knew where to go, but because I knew how the forest works. I can speak that language of it. And I had these people from Lafayette, from West Lafayette, from Chicago, who'd grown up in buildings and who knew about trees because they live in parks and stuff, right? And I don't mean to discount their experience. I'm trying to quote what they'd said, even if it was just stress rant at the time. But when I was dealing with these people, they would say to me, "Oh my gosh, you just don't understand the idea of being confronted with a termite, with bugs, with trees, with the acres and acres of wilderness around us. It's daunting to me. It's scary. I'm used to having a building nearby or something." And I looked at them funny and said, "We have a building nearby. We're staying in it at night." Kind of disappointed in myself. They're like, "No, you just don't get it. You just don't get it." I said, "No, no, no, baby. You just don't get it. You're building it up in your head to be something complex when it doesn't have to be." But here's the thing, what you're not understanding is that you, as a human, are incredibly versatile. And if you would start confronting what you are able to do instead of what you think you're capable of doing, I don't think you'd have any problem being here among these people in this wilderness because they've functionally tamed it. We're walking through the woods, but this is basically their garden. We're learning about trees that are able to sustain them the same way as my tomato bushes out front do. What I wanted them to understand was that, yes, this is insane. We were in the middle of the Amazon rainforest, and I can count on one hand how many people could do that. But here's the thing. You can make that daunting and impossible, or you can look at, and today I'm going to get out of bed, and I'm going to go walk down a path, and when I get down the path, I'm going to find a thing, and when I get the thing, I'm going to go back, and I'm going to cook the thing, and I'm going to eat the thing. Jennifer.
Stop dropping your controller!
Sorry, my kids are awesome. I love you, babies. Don't come fly it over here. You can go inside, but don't come fly it over here.
This is basically dead.
So yeah, Jennifer, the thing for you to realize is that you aren't necessarily, I love you.
Love you.
Mwah.
Have you heard the sound? You could tell us, okay?
It's true. So Jennifer, what I want you to realize is not that you aren't the leader of others. You're not doing anything a whole lot different than teaching them how to tie their shoes. But you're teaching them that by learning how to do it yourself. And the act of learning is so much more educational. And it's so much more intimate. And it's so much more honest. I mean, when we're teaching, we can turn it into something huge and grandiose. And here is picture A. Like, I could be doing this with you guys now if I really wanted to. Here is picture A, and here is the lesson plan that was brought to us by the War of Art, and here is the concept, the overarching educational ideals of fiction versus nonfiction in the implementation of transition in a human's life. Did I mention I can make this boring if I really want to do? I don't want to. The implementation of transition in a human's life. The whole point of what I was telling you about the Amazon is actually that most people are taught that they're supposed to be predictable. They are taught that every day when they get up, they are supposed to tie their shoes a certain way. They are supposed to button their shirts a certain way. They're supposed to fix their hair a certain way. Women are supposed to wear lipstick. They're supposed to not have their hair in the face, have a well-behaved, complex 20 minutes or more beautiful do that looks very appropriate around everyone and stays that way all day. They're supposed to have all of their tattoos covered. They're supposed to have their cleavage properly hidden. Men are taught that they have to wear one specific uniform every day in order to be officially dressed up. And they're allowed to have variants on that uniform, but they're only really supposed to have one uniform, and it's a suit. And they can maybe substitute for a, what's that called? Polo shirt or the like, or maybe a sweater. It's very specific things. If you were to show up in golf socks and a tank top, regardless of whether it was against dress code or not, a lot of offices would look at you like, what the? Are you on something? Like, don't surprise us. Why are you surprising us? people like you and me, Jennifer, teach people to be honest, to be fearlessly beautiful, to be okay. Because we're allowed to be okay. Hi, Leah. Welcome home. So when we are trying to figure out this incredibly complex balance between being honest in our journey, in our beliefs, in our needs, in our struggles, and being predictable, believable, allowable, how do we balance it? Now, Leah, thank you for coming, because you actually reminded me of a very perfect follow-up for this, and it was a quote that you had written down from my paper that my post, pardon me, on shame. Shame does nobody any good. Ties us up in knots. It is crap. It is garbage. I'm convinced that there is nothing about the word shame, about the concept of shame, that does any of us a bit of good. Now, here's the thing. If you go home every day and you take off your shame and you recognize the fact that you are of value and you are allowed to have your opinions and you don't have to feel bad about them, you can just be. I give you permission to just be enough. Then you can let yourself be a kind of superhero. You can let yourself really own this whole process. Now, it's not that it's not scary. But Jennifer, what you're doing is going through this caricatured, oversized version of literally everybody else's challenges ever. No, it's big. It is. You're signing on for something that will change your life forever. And you're voluntarily doing it with help and support and advice, and some people don't have that. And you're sharing that. But if you, I've been told, if you could go to school when you were pregnant and manage to graduate in 3 years with your degree, and manage to actually get good grades the whole time because you focused on something you loved, and finally finish your bachelor's degree at 32, I think it was. If you could do all this, I've had people say, I can do something too. I can try this thing that scares me. I can go on this adventure. I can start a new job, a new business. If you could do that thing that's so huge, then maybe I can a little less, but I can. So Jennifer, what I'm trying to convey to you is not that you're a leader of others. Rather, maybe you just are. And you're beautiful, and you're capable, and you're kind, and you're interesting, and you're smart. And most of us really want to be all of those things. And here on top of all of those things, you're also daring enough to shift your definition on a fundamental level on purpose. Now, yeah, it's scary. But if you're willing to talk about it, if you talk about the things that truly terrify you, you kind of take their teeth out a little bit. I'm so scared that, oh my gosh, actually, here's a wonderful explanation of what I'm trying to say for you. When I was at Purdue, there's something in my eye, flash, hair, something's not working right. When I was at Purdue, I was connecting with people that I highly admired. And the thing is, I've been working in electrical engineering design. I had been in a very different mindset, a very different business, a very different place. When it turns out, how do I say this right? I really fought that counterfeit concept that I mentioned before, that the fake police are going to catch me. Look out. They're going to find out that I'm not really. So I was scared to tell people that I was an engineer. I was scared to tell people everything I'd done in my life. I was scared to tell people a lot of just my day-to-day, because I was worried that basically I'd do too much for them to actually believe me, to actually take me seriously. And that was a legit concern. When people would find out the full scope of everything I did, they'd just be like, yeah, whatever, comic book. No, my life is a comic book, and that's okay, but I'm still a person every day. So when I was in this situation and trying to reach out to people who were like, not like me, that's not the right words, but they were like who I wanted to be. So scared. I had this party I was invited to once, and it ended up where I had 2 or possibly 3 people who ended up being lifelong acquaintances, friends, etc., that were all at this party, and I didn't know at the time. Like, I was so scared to go. I'm like, Aaron, they're all gonna laugh at me. No one's gonna want me there. I don't have any kids with me. He's like, well, you can bring the kids. I'm like, I don't know. I want to be able to talk to people, and I don't have any. You weren't here, and I don't know anyone who's there besides that. I mean, I know the people hosting it because I really admire them, but they've been helping out with my kiddo, and I mean, he's like, yes. So you know the people hosting it. They invited you on purpose. You don't actually have to be scared of going. You are excited to go because these people are like you, which means, by the way, that they will probably like you. They probably invited you on purpose, and you're probably going to fit right in if you just stop talking yourself out of it. So get out of the car, go inside, say hello, and get a beer so you can chill the fuck out. Then stay. If you want to leave in a little bit, I'll be your excuse. Tell them I needed you. Tell them that the kids have a thing. Tell them whatever you want. I will bail you out of whatever situation. But try. Let yourself revel in who you've become, because, baby, who you've become is great. Jennifer, let yourself revel in who you've become, because who you've become is great. You don't have to hide from people. You don't have to lead people either. Being honest creates a conversation. Conversation creates friends. Friends create an environment. Environment creates a community. And everybody has fireworks, obviously. No, everybody ultimately has friends and a community and people that they get along with. And hopefully you can hear me over that noise. It's pretty. Did you get to see a little? Okay. No, they're gonna light more. It's okay. So it's just about, oh my god, baby, don't break you. I need you in one piece. It was my oldest dive bombing the table. She's fine. So here's the grand conclusion of everything that I've been saying, okay? And then I'm probably going to cut out because I really still need to write my study session for the day, and I have a couple of updates to post, and I should go to bed soon and stuff. But Jennifer, virtually everybody anywhere has a community where they show up and they're like, yeah, man, my life, my shoes, my parents, my reality is such a thing. Don't you identify with that? You get me on a level, don't you? Yeah, me too. Ha ha, isn't that the way it goes? Ha ha ha. The thing is, with people like us, where we don't quite fit the way the rest of the world expects us to, the people who don't quite match day-to-day expectations. Jennifer, I love you. Thank you for that comment. She wrote, why is it you have the ability to talk to my soul? And that just touched me very deeply. Absolutely. So here's the thing. Just because we don't quite fit what we've been taught is normal doesn't mean we can't have that. Doesn't mean we can't be our own version of normal. I turned to a friend of ours, Wolf, and when we were talking about going to Wisteria, I said, I'm going to take you to a place where you can just go there and be normal. And he's like, I don't want to be normal. I like being myself. I'm like, no, you misunderstand, baby. You can be you. You can be just like you, every day you, and fit in. I mean, you'll still be unique. You'll still be different. And, maybe there's stuff to work on, but people will just tell you that. And they did. I said, you'll be able to confront the fact that you're not perfect and no one's going to hold it against you. And that happened. but you'll still be welcomed on your own terms. You'll still just be enough. Now, Jennifer, what I'm hearing from you in some of your self-conscious and some of your concerns is that you basically talked yourself out of the right to casual, acceptable, normal conversation where your normal is part of it. Remember that story I told you about? I've been so scared to talk about all my normal because it's so far from most people's normal. That birthday party I mentioned earlier that I went to, I talked about my normal and wasn't like kicked out or unwelcomed or ill fit. People liked me exactly the way I was. And I got to meet other people who weren't exactly like me, who I liked exactly the way they were. It was so exciting. I loved it. We're all allowed to just be us. And here's the best part. Here's the most awesome part. Okay, right? Okay, you ready? This is great. If I tell people who I really am, hi, Crystal McInnes. Mwah! You showed up right as I'm finishing up, but I think you'll like this point. If I talk to people about who I am on a deep, honest level, and they don't like it, then I probably don't like them. Okay? So, you know that song from Rent, Take Me or Leave Me? Yeah, take me or leave me. Because if you don't want me, I don't want you around. It's not that I have to be afraid of you not wanting me. It's not that I have to be afraid of you not liking me. Yeah, I'm still going to have the bitch in the back of my head going, la, 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 they're all going to hate me. The whole room is going to look away and go, her, oh. And yes, I have that. Everybody has that now and then. Heaven forbid I had to go to a Republican convention. No offense, but I'm kind of on their hit list in a way. You know, it scares me. Not because I don't like them, because I do. And that's the real blech of the whole thing. A lot of the people there I respect and I care for. Please hear me on this. You might respect and care for people who just don't want you on principle. But if they don't want you on principle, you don't really want them around. Ugh, like, what? It's like, this is itchy. I should put it on. Ew, no. Like, I gotta go. If we would just be honest with ourselves about that one concept more than anything else. If you don't want me, I don't want you. Half of the dead-end relationships of this world would just stop. If there's not two people in a relationship wanting to be there, happily interacting with each other, not out of obligation, but because they want to, is it a relationship? Really think about it. Now, with a stranger on the street, if they don't actually want to hear about your day, are they a friend? If they don't get your needs and your wants and your normal, if you're having to basically condense all of your life into one pretty little box, all those pretty little boxes, all lined up with ticky-tacky, if you're having to fit your whole life into that cute little box of ticky-tacky in order to have a basic conversation with someone, is that a friend? Is that someone of value that you should keep, that you should focus on? Because believe it or not, you will always be the center of your world. You're supposed to be. No one else can like ride shotgun in your life. You are stuck being you forever. So why not, I don't know, decorate your life to fit your needs? Why not actually make your life a good place for you to be comfortable? Why not make sure the conversations you have to have daily are conversations you actually want to have daily? I won't force you to. No one can. But for you, Jennifer, with the stuff that you've been confronted with, and actually to a certain extent, Crystal, with the stuff that I know you've been confronted with, This very simple, basic, ongoing concept, you can, you should, why wouldn't you? And if they don't want to help you, why are they here? Does there need to be more to it than that? Like, honestly? Jennifer said, thank you, Beth. I really needed to hear this tonight. I'm so glad you do this. And I could watch the whole thing once again. The God set up the coincidence. Oh, honey, they always do. They always do. And Cece's like, yes, across the table from me. She's being my silent peanut. The peanut crowd, isn't that it? No, it's the peanut gallery. She's my silent peanut gallery over there. Yes. Fantastic. So anyway, no, Jennifer, you and I both needed this. I've been having these half conversations with you, and I'm really relieved actually that it got to be just you and me for a while. And Crystal, I'm glad that you got to join us at the end. There's a lot of this conversation I think would apply to you. And for those of you out there who are considering maybe listening through the whole thing, you're just hearing this couple of minutes bit, please consider it, because honestly, the transition of life, the experience of the liminal, I'm going to sound real intelligent for a minute, that point in ritual when you truly become something else, that point in magic where you step out of reality and into endless possibility. The experience of the liminal is something that is so fucking underestimated nowadays. It's so undervalued by most of modern society, and it really kicks us in the, it hinders us, it cripples us, that we aren't willing to step out of our day-to-day experience long enough to learn who is experiencing, that we're not willing to really see the seer, that we're not really willing to learn ourselves in the process of all of this. So the one thing I want to tell you more than anything else, Jennifer, you can say how unique your experience is. You can say how specific it is to someone who is your age and your gender and your gender fluidity. You could look at it that way. But I'm going to tell you right now, it's just a caricature of what everybody else is avoiding. And they're walking around going, la, 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 I'm fine, la, la, la. I don't want to fix anything. I'm not broken. I'm okay. Don't look at me. I'm nothing special. I am a person who lives in a box made out of ticky-tacky, and I'm only this big, and Cece's over there going, and everybody's taught to do that all day, every day. And they're like, why does my life feel fake? Why does my life feel two-dimensional? Why don't I feel invested in reality? Why don't I feel like this is reality? I love you, Crystal. I'm going to finish my thought. Thank you, Crystal. This falsehood that we are raised with. Here, I'm going to give you all an assignment. Anyone who listens to this, okay, next time you're standing in line, what do we do when we're in line? Avert your eyes. If you make eye contact, smile politely. Go back to what you're doing. Make sure you don't drop anything. Don't bump anyone. And don't be, individual. Right? Next time you're in line, make eye contact. Look at the person and smile. Tell them, hey, how are you? Watch them. Hi. You're talking to me, right? Yeah. Why? Nothing. No, I'm good. How are you? How are you? Oh no, I'm all right. I'm having a long day. People, when I do this, and my Cece girl over here has seen me check out at the grocery store where I walk up to the cash register, and they say, "So, how are you today?" And I'm like, honestly, I'm pooped. It's been a long day. It's been a long week. They're like, oh my God, I know. And for the next 2 minutes to 5 minutes while they're bringing me up, for that little bit of time, I can be a person whose feet ache, whose register keeps coming up a little bit sideways every day, like they keep running out of ones or nickels, or maybe they're 20 cents short every day somehow. Or maybe it's just that their boss keeps looking over their shoulder when they're doing everything right, or they keep forgetting that one scan number, and they always have to look it up. But because I looked at them and I said, I know, right? They're like, oh, you see me. And I see you. Crystal says, it's what I love about my job, so many opportunities to spread love and happiness. And all I can say to that is, you fucking get it. So many people don't. Every time you're in a gas station, every time you go to the grocery store, every time you're stopped. Oh, I had a cop at the fireworks store. I had a cop that stopped me, and he was just parked next to me, and he said, hey, you got to be careful about having your dog in the car, as hot as it is. I said, oh my God, I know. That's why the windows are vented. I actually cranked the AC right before we got here. I had a 8-minute limit. He said, yeah, if you get a car starter, then you can have about 20 minutes inside. I said, nah, I just stuck with my 8-minute limit. I got everything I needed, you know. He's like, actually, did you know there's a special dog waterer thing that's not cold, so it works really better with dogs? This whole chat, because he apparently was a canine cop, and he had to take care of a dog in a car on a regular basis. He just wanted to discuss his expertise and make sure that this beautiful puppy was taken care of. I wasn't in trouble. And because I was willing to look at him, thank you. And I was nervous, don't get me wrong. I didn't want to get in trouble for being in the store for 8 minutes when my dog was okay, you know. And I could have been, because there are people who worry just so much. But we had this great conversation, and he loved being able to talk shop about having a puppy and how to take good care of him. And he loved being able to compare notes, because I was willing to look at him and see his reality. Jennifer, not challenging you to do anything groundbreaking, anything amazing, anything end of the world-ish. Not challenging any of you to. I'm just challenging you very simply to let yourself be real. All of you. All of me. Why not take all of me? Can't you see I'm no good without you? How about that last part? Turns out we're actually okay when we're really all of me. All of you. All right, y'all. It's late. My neighbor lady, who I haven't seen in a while, got home. So I'm going to go tackle her and give her a big hug. Finish my tea. Give you guys the next portion of the search for the Shapeshifting Warrior and set up the next few book reviews. And I'll talk more soon. Thank you, as always, for coming out to play with me and sharing this journey with me. It is not... The universe says these words to me on a regular basis. I'm always running into people who are like, I want to feel like who I really am is enough. I just want to feel like I can be really seen for who I am and not kicked out. That I can be wanted. Here's the thing. All of us, we give each other permission to do that thing. I just want to encourage everybody to do it, because we get so kicked around by life on the regular that if we don't have someone reminding us to remind each other that life doesn't have to suck, but sometimes we get stuck in the tar trap out back and we never actually make it to seeing the sunlight. I see you, all of you, and you guys are freaking amazing. Please let yourself shine, because I see you and you really are amazing. Love you guys. Good night.